there are 170 cutting-edge suppliers under one roof. Meeting those people behind the tech is probably a great way to start your journey at the show.
Digital transformation in the built environment is no longer a future ambition. It's a present-day reality reshaping how we design, deliver, and manage our physical world. From automation and data-driven decision-making to the pursuit of a more sustainable, efficient, and connected project, it's here. It's now. But how do we know what the right here and now is for our own organizations? Chasing the same efficiencies, but within a specific need. As the UK's leading event dedicated to innovation in the built environment, Digital Construction Week, albeit it's not really a week, is it? We'll let that one slide this year, I think. Digital Construction Week offers a valuable lens on the organizations, technologies, ideas, and conversations shaping this transformation. Now in its 10th year, congratulations, the show brings together thousands of professionals from across architecture, engineering, construction, and operations. Oh, and marketing for 2 days. Again, it's not a week. Sorry. Those 2 days are for discovery, learning, and of course, collaboration. But what can we expect from this year's week? That's enough. Stop. From standout sessions and emerging technologies, the week reflects the evolving need of the industry, the role it plays in helping professionals make sense of complex trends, as well as the required critical decision making of what tech is right for their own organizations. Little side note, I'll be podcasting live at this year's event as well, again with a tremendous list of guests. It will be fantastic. So pop along, come and say hello. But first of all, let's chat to someone who knows the answers to these questions and what really makes DCW tick. Delighted today to be joined by Karolina, and she's got the privileged position of sort of being in that hat trick echelons of people coming on the podcast. First time on the podcast, but it's the third time somebody from Digital Construction Week's been on the podcast. So I'm letting you have the hat trick here, Karolina.
Yeah, I'll take the credit. No problem.
Absolutely. And so you should. So you should. We all know your predecessor didn't do any work and you did all the work in the background and all that kind of stuff. And now you have taken the reins over from our dear friend, Ollie. With that in mind, Karolina, can you do your intro, please?
Absolutely. Hello, Peter. My name is Karolina, and as you mentioned, I am heading up Digital Construction Week now, taking over from our dear colleague Ollie. I joined Ollie actually in 2020 in January as an event manager. So I've been working on the show for 5 years, delivered 5 editions essentially. And when I joined, actually, I joined during COVID. So I had to wait for 18 months really before I actually got to see the first edition of Digital Construction Week. So I worked on something for a very long time without seeing the fruits of my labor, which was quite an interesting experience, I must say. But ever since from the first edition, I love the industry. As I was know how vibrant, how collaborative, how community driven it was. I really, really loved it. And so, yes, hence I'm still here 5 years on.
Yeah. Fantastic. And we'll get into it a bit more in a bit more detail in a moment. But I think I echo those thoughts in terms of the approachableness of people and the collaboration you see at the event and prior and post the event. It's for me personally, I really like Digital Construction Week. We won't get into it not being a week. I think we've covered
Oh,
that.
yes, yes. We get that a lot. We get that a lot.
I really like Digital Construction Week. I think it's the right size, it's the right shape, you get the right audience and the right people exhibiting year after year. which really helps. So that leads me really nicely onto the first area that I want to talk about. And the show's 10 years old this
Yeah,
year, which is fantastic. You've been around for 5, but like you say, you had to wait 18 months for that inauguration
first, yeah.
of a show. Since that time, how have you seen Digital Construction Week evolve as an event?
We talk about it a lot actually, because also with the team, what we currently doing, preparing for the 10th birthday, we sort of brainstorming loads of ideas, talking about, a lot of things, looking back at the photos from the first edition, second edition, third
Mm,
edition to see how the event has grown. And it's quite astonishing, really. And, it is our birthday. It is a very exciting milestone. And I think, just looking back for me personally, obviously the last 5 years have been really incredible, but I know that a lot of our supporters and sort of loyal fans that were there since day one really would say that probably it's been an incredible decade. The show started as a very modest gathering at the BDC, and then it kind of has grown and evolved. I suppose in line with industry's
mm,
digital revolution, you can say. And initially the focus was a lot on emerging new technologies like BIM or cloud-based collaboration tools. But as the industry had embraced innovation, I think DCW just expanded and evolved in line with that. And so now you can see all sorts of cutting edge technology at the show, from the omnipresent AI, cannot not mention it, to sort of
mm,
digital twins, sustainable practices, and so on and so forth, just to name a few. And we had worked really, really hard over the years, adapting the sort of show format, the content to reflect these changes and make sure that the show remains a very relevant and vital platform for the industry. What we sort of done probably quite successfully is fostered an environment where professionals can share their experiences. So we sort of focus on like real world case studies and sharing best practices and so on and so forth. The event is hugely educational, and you'd know yourself, with
mhm,
sort of 10 theatres and a huge conference program. But I suppose our mission still remains the same as it was probably on day one when Ollie launched the show, and it's to be the go-to event for digital construction insights. And I think, yes, so to sum up, I suppose the biggest change is probably in the size and the scope of the event,
mm.
with the sort of same underlying mission.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you there. I've been going for a number of years, and it's I think you've nailed the size it needs to be. It's not too vast. It doesn't feel like
Mm,
you're. I was speaking to somebody the other day about events, and I can't remember whether it was myself or the person I was talking to, and we said that the issue you've got with events is that you start small and you build them up, and they get more important, and they get more promotion, and more people turn up, and they get bigger and bigger and bigger. The problem with that is at some point it's not going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. It's going to get smaller. One year it will get small. But I think with Digital Construction Week, the cool thing is it's got to a certain level. It's almost found its own feet and
mm.
stayed at that level in terms of size and appearance and attendance, which I think is perfect because you know what you're doing with it now.
And I suppose to add to this, Peter, is that sort of perfect size that if you only have a time in your diary to pop in for one day, you can
Mm,
still, see some sessions and probably walk the floor and see most of the suppliers that you want to see at the show. There's obviously so much more to it, and there's plenty of stuff to do over 2 days. And of course, if you can take 2 days out of the office and come and explore what we have on offer for 2 days. But of course, I that totally appreciate that's not practical for everyone.
mm,
And I think we have hit that sweet spot of the size where you can do both. There's plenty of stuff to discover over 2 days, but also if you only have one day,
mhm.
you know, it's the perfect size to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, speaking of this year, then, what should people expect from the show this year?
I think we've mentioned obviously the 10th birthday celebration, so it's probably our most ambitious show yet, and for that very reason. And it's all about tech, so attendees can certainly expect to explore a lot of tech and practical solutions. Again, I mentioned AI, machine learning, robotics, BIM, sustainable practices, and obviously witness those first-hand hand-on demos. I think we have a record number of thought leaders sharing their knowledge. So a lot of sessions are focused on real outcomes, which has always been the sort of DCW strength. Our content program was
Mm.
always created with that in mind. Just so our attendees can leave the show equipped with ideas to help them do their job better, which I think is always high on our priority list when we curate in the conference program. We may also have a celebrity speaker or two, so that's always very exciting. And
Mhm.
so keep your eyes peeled. Um, to add to it, what else are we doing? We are introducing a couple of fun features at the show this year as well, and this is actually in line with our 10th birthday celebration. It's the idea is to inspire our audience to make them reflect on the last 10 years, and
Hmm.
but also look into the next 10 years as well. I think a lot of our attendees have been on a personal journey in this industry, and so essentially you'll be able to step into the iconic DeLorean time machine and reflect on the last decade, which is excellent. And the
Nice.
DeLorean is just a little bit of help from like 80s innovation, and will be a fan feature. And to add to this, we are actually running a photo competition. I don't know if you may have seen it on our socials, but you can get involved by sending us your favorite photos from past editions of the show.
Mhm.
And the post photos will be displayed and featured on our anniversary wall at the show, but they will also win a bottle of Prosecco. So you can find
Nice.
further details on LinkedIn. It's all over our social media, or just drop me a message on LinkedIn. And yes, it will be just sort of a little bit of fun, to add to it. It's all about a visitor experience,
Mm.
in trade shows and events. I think the great thing is that you want to come in and you want to learn, but also you want to unwind and do some fun stuff too. So, yeah.
Excellent. I think there's a lot of pressure being the 10th anniversary,
Mm,
but there's a lot of excitement and a lot more fun that you can have with that, like you were alluding to then. The thing that impresses me is that it can always with tech, particularly within construction, it can be a bit dry and dull, as in it's on a
mhm,
screen and this is what unless
agree.
you're into it or it's part of what you do as a business or part of what you do as a professional, it can it's data, it's information on a screen and how it's visualized. But there's so much more that you see at the show.
I agree, absolutely. And I think, when you think about it, it's again, we put a lot of thought into how we deliver a certain type of content, for instance, how we deliver those tech demos, because essentially, you come in, you want to discover new stuff. And for that very reason, we run the tech stage where you can find over 40 live product demos
Mm,
delivered to the audience, which is, again, lots
that's
of
cool.
great tech in one place. So if you time limited, that's a great place to visit when you are coming to the show. Um,
Mm,
Interestingly, obviously, it's a trade show, right? It's 170 suppliers under one roof showcasing their tech. So uh, what's better than actually going to speak to them and seeing the tech in action, and actually also probably seeing the people behind the tech, because you're quite right,
yeah.
you see the tech, it's on screen, it could be quite dry, it could be quite dull, but you can actually speak to the people behind it. A lot of our suppliers, they are startup, they are scale ups. Quite often you have the founders on stands that you can actually hear their story, and it's a little bit more personal, which I think I personally love. And
Hmm.
obviously, working in this space, I get to speak to a lot of people. Being on site is my favorite part of the job. So, like, we work for 12 months to deliver a show, and then we sort of arrive on site for a couple of days of setup and then 2 days of the show. And it's impossible to speak to everyone, but I try to speak to as many as I can. And I personally love hearing those stories. And I think, they are what makes our industry great. They are what makes our industry vibrant. And yes, it's a great part of the job, for sure.
But if you think about how important tech can be in construction, the way it's developing and evolving, I think talking to the people that are behind it is just as important as the tech, because if you're going to invest quite extensively in going down one path with one tech or multiple technologies combined, then you've got the setup, you've got the updates, you've got the help required when things get a bit sticky or whatever it might be. It's important that you get along with these people. It's not just about what you see on the screen or what about happening in the background with information. It's still about that connection, regardless of whether it's digital or a more manual process, really.
Absolutely, that's a very good point, and I think that's where also events are a great platform for that
Mm,
because when you're exploring multiple solutions, uh, you have them under one roof. You have all those people in one place, so it's a very effective use of your time. That's why the visitors love coming to shows such as DCW for
mm,
those reasons. And we are obviously very proud to be the platform for it and happy to facilitate those
mm.
conversations.
Fantastic. Tricky one, this,
Mm,
and no favorites here. But if you were an attendee and you
right.
weren't doing what you were doing, where would you be heading to at the event?
Well, there's obviously so much to explore. So where do I start? I think, well, I mentioned
Hmm.
obviously live tech demos before. I think that's a great place to go. So tech stage is definitely worth checking out. But outside of the tech stage, I keep mentioning 170 suppliers, but there are 170 cutting edge suppliers
Mm,
under one roof. And again, meeting those people behind the tech is probably a great way to start your journey at the show. So absolutely would
mm,
recommend those two. I would also top tip at this point, bring comfortable shoes, because even though we said earlier that it's not huge in size, it's still sizable enough. And
yeah.
you want to walk around and so see all those exciting things happening. Then comfortable shoes are a must. Um,
Yeah.
I would probably, I think, innovation stage is a great place to go as well because it's really where you feel the pulse of where the industry is going. So there's loads of exciting sessions there, and I think our conference program is live. Maybe it's worth mentioning at this point. So it's all
Hmm.
on the website. We
Cool.
will be launching our show app very soon as well in the next 2 weeks. So you'll be able to see all the sessions, mark them, add them to your diary, and make sure that you don't miss out. But yeah, essentially, I mentioned the innovation stage. Great place to visit as well, with lots of exciting tech and lots of exciting case studies. And whilst you're at this, I would probably go to the startup village. Again, I think it's quite exciting to see disruptive ideas before they hit mainstream adoption. So
Mm.
there's 10 exciting brands on our startup village that I would highly recommend going and speaking to. And again, going back to the 10th birthday theme, I don't know how many times I'm going to mention 10th birthday on on this podcast, but 10th birthday obviously calls for special celebratory drinks. So our 10th birthday anniversary drinks will be happening on the Wednesday, the 4th of June at 5 p.m. in the heart of the show, that is DCW Lounge. And so everyone is welcome, whether you are a visitor, exhibitor, sponsor, speaker. All the friends of the show are invited to join us. What hopefully will be an hour of networking and general merriment, possibly, to mark
Yeah.
the
Fantastic.
this significant milestone. So yes, I'd say put it in your diaries, 5 p.m.
Yeah. Brilliant. Noted straight away.
The most important
Yeah, of
takeaway.
course.
But again, it goes back to this whole, like you come in to learn, you come in to do the serious stuff and have serious conversations. It's quite nice to unwind with a glass of wine or a beer and network a little bit more in a slightly more informal environment.
Yeah. Yeah. Without a doubt. So taking a step back from the actual event then,
Mm,
I'm keen to know what goes into building an event like this. There's a long lead up. It's it's a year in the making, if you like.
it
But
is,
what goes in
yes.
that most people wouldn't really realize that is things that need to happen for this great event to be put on.
It's a great question. So, I mean, most people, what they'll see is the sort of bustling show floor across the two
Mm,
days. You know, they'll come in, they'll see a ready-built show, they enjoy their journey, and hopefully go home feeling inspired and learn something new. But like we mentioned before, and you've just mentioned now, it does take 12 months to plan a successful show. There's a lot of things that go into it. You know, if you think about it, we are building a standalone city or a village, possibly a better
mm,
word to describe it, that literally just exists for 2 days and then disappears. And I think if you've ever exhibited at any trade shows or DCW in particular, you know that it disappears at a frighteningly fast pace. So it takes 2 days to build. It literally, our breakdown, you know, the minute the show closes, breakdown kicks in, and we are out of the hall, you know, 4 hours later at the
mm.
most. So I think this is the bit that surprises everyone. Everyone is always sort of thinking, yeah, it takes a couple of days to break down. No, 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 it's 4 hours, and the hall is clear and, you know, ready for a mark out for the next event that is taking place there after us. So so that's an interesting fact. But I think, you know, what we always sort of think and have in mind is that, you know, every element of the show is actually thoroughly discussed and designed to enhance the visitor experience. And also, I think the most important thing in trade shows, which is sort of sparking a meaningful conversation, because
Mm,
that's where it all starts. And so that takes a lot of planning, a lot of conversations, a lot of different points of view from our team. And this is probably right place and time to give our team a shout out, DCW
yeah.
team.
Great.
You know, there's multiple people involved in all levels, from marketing to operations to finance, and they all do a great job. So, yes. And I think maybe what I'll do is just bring some numbers and, you know,
Yeah, please.
just to scope. And this is just is going to be some basic numbers, so don't get too
Mhm.
excited. But, you know, when you think about it, it's put it into perspective. We are essentially coordinating 170 suppliers, nearly 350 speakers, so that's a record number for this year actually, and almost 7,000 visitors. So those are the numbers, and so there's a lot and a lot of individuals. We obviously appreciate everyone's contribution, because that's what makes the show the success that it is. But
Mm.
to my earlier point, it obviously requires a lot of meticulous planning throughout the whole year and coordinating all those individuals to come together for those 2 days to make them, you know, successful, but also from our point of view, run smoothly without any major hiccups and issues, hopefully on site.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, big numbers there. And if you think
Mm.
about if somebody came to you and said, right, you've got 4 hours to clean out your house and leave, and you can't come back, like,
That's exactly what happens. So it's honestly like it's a frighteningly fast speed. It's not only DCW, that's just the reality of trade shows. But I suppose it's
yeah,
something
for
that
sure.
probably, yeah, it's not really planning. This obviously this is a breakdown and tear down, but it's always a fact that surprises absolutely everyone.
Yeah, without I'm going straight to the fridge and taking all the food. Like, you're not taking that away from me. That's mine. I don't care now.
Yeah, good planning. I never thought about it,
But
but yeah,
yeah,
a fridge is probably a
yeah,
good way, a place to start. Yes.
yeah, absolutely. Uh, so that's a really good insight into the build up and of course the breakdown. In that build up, you have to make sure that it's not just of course, you'll have similar organizations exhibiting. Of course, you will. Competitors, but what I find is there's a nice, friendly competitiveness
Yes.
when you go to the show. But how do you balance showcasing? I'm gonna have to say it, like we said at the start, AI and things like that, and the emergence of things like that, and all the hot topics that everyone will want to talk about, with the ever presence that are just as vital, such as digital twins, BIM, ERPs, and things like that.
I think, you know, we've already mentioned AI multiple times on this
Hmm.
call, on this podcast, and actually, you know, it is a real buzzword, whether in our industry or across the board. Really, like there's no escaping it. And what we always do at DCW is after every single edition of the show, we do ask our attendees what's the appetite, what topics do they want to see, what kind of speakers would they like to see at the show, to make sure that we really listen into their feedback and bring in exactly the type of content that they want to you know, sit through and learn from. So you know, there's absolutely a lot of appetite from our attendees to learn more about AI. And this is feedback. This is from the horse's mouth. We know that
Mm,
they come into the show to do it, and so you can expect a lot of great and exciting AI themed sessions at DCW. I think what we really focused on was more AI themed sessions that actually focused or showcase how AI is complementing existing systems rather than distracting from them. Because I think that's definitely something that, from the feedback, it stood out. But I think, again, it's all about balance. And we always look at this as the goal really for our conference program is to showcase both the shiny new tech and also the dependable backbone solutions that keep projects running. So you will see absolutely when it comes to the exhibitor makeup, you will see both. And similarly, the conference program is nicely balanced. If you have the appetite to go and see sessions on AI, you will have plenty to choose from. But also, if you want to see the usual sort of more what I mentioned earlier, dependable solutions
mm,
like digital twins, there's plenty of sessions for catering for those needs as well. So all about balance. I said this
yeah.
before, just said it again, but that's what we try to do. There is no real philosophy to it. I think it's just trying to cater to the needs, listen to the feedback, which is very important to us. And that's why we always encourage our attendees to tell us exactly what they want, because, this show has always been about the community and it's always been about listening to the feedback from the industry. And, we almost see it as our community's show, their input, their
Mm.
feedback is what helps us keep it current, relevant, and keeps them coming back, I suppose.
Yeah, fantastic. And it does keep them coming back, obviously. So this year should be no different. But from your perspective and what you've seen, because you're orchestrating this, you're directing this, so you've got a lot to do, a lot on your plate, and I know you can't see everything, but you are overseeing the whole event. Which emerging technologies or even under discussed ideas, if you like, do you think will have an impact at this year's Digital Construction Week?
I think this is probably a great question for our audience, because obviously they are the
Mm,
ones in the industry doing the real work. They are the real experts, and they are really truly qualified. I don't claim to be that person. My expertise is events. But there's obviously a lot of anecdotal knowledge. I do have a lot of
mm,
conversations with the various industry members, whether that's our exhibitors, whether that's our speakers, and so it, as I said, it's purely anecdotal. But I
mhm,
think there's a couple of themes and a couple of things that do keep coming back, and one will be probably the sort of push towards sustainability. And so the likes of embodied carbon tracking keeps coming up in
okay,
loads of conversations, simply because also I think regulations are changing. So it's something that has been seen as nice to have, but it's more of a must have in the foreseeable future. And I think the second thing that I made note of was the rise of low code and no code platforms for project management.
mm,
Again, it keeps coming up in conversations. And I think, with this in mind, we actually running some great sessions at the show that will discover both topics. And so, again, I will refer everyone to our conference program to have a look at those sessions, to provide deeper insights. So
mhm,
those would be the two things. But as I said, it's our industry really, and that goes back to again the feedback that we ask every year. What do you want to see? What's of interest to you? What will keep you coming back in the future? So
mhm.
yes. So no more really
Yeah,
to add,
fantastic.
because as I said, I'm not an expert, and,
Yeah, for
and I
sure.
don't claim to be one. But what we can do is listen to the feedback and respond accordingly.
Yeah, yeah, that's the best thing to do in your position.
Absolutely.
Okay, final question from me then. Um, and I think this time last year, I kind of asked Ollie the same thing, but I
Right.
added that he was going on holiday and there'd be palm trees and he'd be chilling and what he'd want to reflect people to reflect on while he was on a beach and everyone was dead busy at work. But what do you want people to take away from this year's event?
I think, as event organizers, and I think every single event organizer would probably tell you the same thing, that we literally want people to attend the show and leave happy, leave fulfilled, leave like they
Mm,
taken something away, feel inspired. I think to me, like a big takeaway is always leaving with something tangible. So, and what I mean by that, I suppose, is whether that's like a new industry contact. So, through networking opportunities, you meet someone that you really wanted to meet, and leave the show knowing that you have a lined up like sort of a business meeting with them, or perhaps that you discover a new tech and you choose to pilot it with your organization. So all those sort of things, like real tangible takeaways, and
mm,
it's a feedback that I love hearing from our exhibitors and visitors, because that's what the whole point of the event is really. But when it comes to intangible stuff, I think a perspective on tackling challenges is what what we want to see. I think you coming into the show, and we hope that some of the sessions, some of the conversations inspire you and sort of give you some ideas on how to, I mentioned earlier, doing your job better, but also what I just said, tackling the challenges of the industry. So trade shows are definitely a genuinely great platform to learn and network. And our industry has been on a very exciting trajectory. And we all know that embracing technology is the key to driving progress. And I think that's uh, uh, you can't question that. And I think we do
mm,
definitely see this, or have seen this over the last 10 years, how the industry has evolved and changed. And I think uh, sort of making another point on the 10 years, I think what we're trying to do through the sort of fun features that we have at the show, but also we are running quite a few sessions that reflect on the last 10 years, but also look into the future. It's kind of encouraging a bit of a personal reflection as well, because I mentioned earlier, we like a lot of our attendees would have been with us from the start or joined in the second or third year. So they have years and years of DCW experience and probably have seen that and witnessed the changes, and yeah, perhaps reflecting on their own personal journey and how things have changed for them. So yeah, so pretty much this. I think I just want them to leave happy, with some takeaways, and hopefully come back in 2026.
Fantastic. Okay, I know you're super busy, lots to organise for Digital Construction Week, which is the 4th and 5th of June this year at London
Yes.
Excel. Get yourself down. I'll be there doing some live podcasting. Carolina will be there, not holding her breath anymore because can do once the show
It's my
starts.
favorite. It's my favorite part of the show cycle. I keep saying this. So hopefully you'll
Yeah.
see me walking relaxed and happy and smiling. And if you do, grab me in the aisle, say hello. And yes, hopefully I won't be sort of running around flustered. That's the hope.
I'm sure you won't. Carolina, thanks for imparting loads of information, loads of insight, loads of knowledge. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you today. Thank you so much.
And you, Peter. Thank you so much.